Hey everybody, Tim Anderson here, aka Renfell, and welcome. It is Tuesday morning, January 4th, and I had another video that I planned to do this morning, but I was reading this article over at PC Gamer, and it really inspired me to do the piece that we're gonna do this morning instead. So hopefully you'll bear with me. It's a great article on why it's sometimes good to look at fresh games and new games as opposed to looking forward to upcoming games in a series because there's going to be so much lore overload that it actually takes away from the experience of the game. And I read that and I went, "Oh crap, that's actually really true." And there's some really fun stuff in this article that I want to go over today with you. So we're going to dive into that. But before we do, if this is your first time here, don't forget at the end of this video, if you like what you see, make sure to smash that like button, leave a comment below, join us in Discord, links are all down there, and of course don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon to get updates for future content in whatever I do here on YouTube, which is a lot of different things, so make sure you check out the playlists as well. Without further ado, however, let's dive into this article over on PC Gamer, which is called "Why I'm Thrilled Starfield is Coming Out Before the Elder Scrolls 6." And beyond the headline, "I'm ready to step into a fresh new world instead of one burdened by fictional stories and or fictional history." And what I thought was really interesting here, I'm going to read a little bit from this article and then we're going to just dive into the topic at hand. So the writer is saying, over the past couple of years, I've been annoyed that Starfield's coming out ahead of the Elder Scrolls 6 on Bethesda's schedule. I was definitely interested in a Bethesda game with spaceships and planets instead of horses and cities, but what I wanted more than anything else was more Elder Scrolls. Give us that first, I thought, and then make your little space game. But something happened when I saw this trailer for Starfield last June. I suddenly realized, oh, well, never mind. I'll take Starfield first, actually. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I'm perfectly happy to keep waiting for the Elder Scrolls 6, even if I have to wait another 5 or 10 years. And now we're getting into the fun stuff, ladies and gentlemen. The reason is simply that I want a fresh start. I want to step into a new game world that isn't tied to a half a dozen games that came before it. I want to read a journal and see a name and not immediately Google it to see if it's a name from another game that came out 10 years ago. They go on to explain this as fictional lore and history fatigue, and this just made me laugh because it is so true. I think the most poignant part of this article was this part right here. I consider myself a Star Wars fan, but when I watch an episode of The Mandalorian, I always wind up seeing videos a couple of days later titled 781 Things You Missed in That Episode of The Mandalorian, You Dumb Shit. And I'm like, what? What did I miss? The Mandalorian shot some guys, and Baby Yoda ate a frog or something he shouldn't have. What else was there? Was there more? And then someone is like, "Oh, that guy in the bar drinking the purple drink in that one scene? That was Butso Glovelord. You know Butso, who appeared in the 1993 Star Wars novel Heir to the Ewok and was referenced in the deleted scene from Season 3 to Episode 4 of the Clone Wars when he was also drinking a purple drink in that same bar, and he's a Sith or something. It's a delightful little Easter egg that every fan of Star Wars should immediately recognize, and if you didn't, you're not a real Star Wars fan." Uh, oh my god. Take a moment and revel in that for just a few seconds because I think that is the core aspect of what makes this article um, so poignant for me. Um, it's just when we start thinking about games that are big pieces of intellectual property, IP that has been out for decades in some cases, it can be overwhelming as a new player to step into these worlds. It can definitely be overwhelming for a returning player. This person goes on to talk about how, they've spent over 200 hours in both Oblivion and Skyrim, but when it comes to the overwhelming amount of lore and history in the world, I've forgotten more than I remember. And the idea of stepping into Elder Scrolls 6 and having to once again take a refresher course on the geography and the eras and the seasons and the races and the languages and everything else that's piled up over the years feels exhausting. And they want a fresh start in a new world where they know exactly what every other player knows, which is little to nothing. Now, I think this comes back to a core component of what a lot of people associate with that first MMORPG experience. This applies to more than just MMORPGs, of course, but I do want to bring this back to the MMORPG conversation because this is one of the things I like discussing on here when we're analyzing MMORPGs and the way people think about the evolution of the industry. Everyone is always chasing that first experience. Um, and a lot of people will look back and say, "Oh, it's rose-colored, rose-tinted glasses. It's the nostalgia." You really don't miss those things. It's just you miss the feelings that were associated with those things. But this article taps into a core component of why I think people have that lure, because what they're really looking for is that new world experience. And I don't mean New World, the Amazon game that is completely failing. I'm talking just the new environment, that new experience where you're coming into it completely fresh. You're not burdened by 10, 15, or 20 years of intellectual property, and can actually sink your teeth in, and like everyone else around you, you're experiencing things for the first time. And there is something about experiencing something for the first time which is incredibly exciting. It's sort of what, if you think about it this way, it's what drove the early explorers to constantly be looking at that horizon and going, what's beyond? How can I get there? Let's build a ship. Let's sail those oceans. Let's cross those horizons and see what's beyond. I don't care if it's dangerous. I want to see it. It's what pushes science. It's the lure of the unknown. It's what is beyond. And that's something that I think harkens back to the human spirit within all of us and can be extrapolated out from just the gaming experience as a whole and applied to us as an individual species, where we're always looking for that next thing that gives us that new experience, that sort of unexpected, oh, because it's not something you could have ever predicted and you didn't know it. For me, I think that's something that I really like about new games is when they allow me to immerse myself in the story first and foremost. What I really don't like is when a new game pushes me towards a UI and starts giving me all of these tips and hints and tricks, and they're telling me the UI is more important than the story. No, it's not. The world and the lore and that new experience is what's going to keep me playing your game, not a flashy UI. As much as I'm enjoying, and I can apply this to this game as I'm speaking about this, I'm playing Marvel's Avengers right now on the Xbox, and as much as I'm having a lot of fun with this game, the UI and the amount of I'm 6 hours in right now, and every 20, 30 minutes they are smashing me with new UI elements. Like, don't forget you can do this, and now there's faction, and now there's this, 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 and it's just like, okay, stop, guys. Just let me explore the world, explore this universe, immerse myself in the characters, and have that new player experience. So I really appreciate this article from the perspective of, we don't necessarily need these huge, lore dumps when a new game comes out, because it actually can be too overwhelming at times, because it does take away from the enjoyment of the game, because like this writer was talking about, you're having to then go back and refresh yourself on who, wait, didn't this character show up over here, and wasn't there this racial tension that happened here, and all this other stuff. This goes into another thing I've talked about in my writing series and my reading series, which is one of the reasons I don't read um, books from authors who are in the middle of writing a series. I wait until they're completely finished. It's also another reason I like to wait until a show has finished its run and then I'll binge watch all the episodes, is because I don't like to have to wait in between, because I forget, because I have so many other things going on and there's so many other worlds that I'm exploring, that I need to be able to be in that moment, exploring that world, exploring that universe, and dedicating myself to that world and universe for that limited amount of time so that I get the most out of it. Because once I go away from that, I'm there's a short-term memory dump that happens, and there are going to be key components from that experience that I'll remember, but for the most part, it's, out with the bathwater. So looking at games that take 6 years or more in between entries into a series, it can be a little bit overwhelming. And I just love the phrase that they coined in here, which was the fictional lore and history fatigue, or FLOF. I want a game set in a completely new place with with a clean slate when it's not drenched in references to a ton of other things that came before. And I totally get this, especially when you're talking about all the Marvel shows and all the Disney Plus Star Wars shows. Like, you're expected to know like all of these things, and it's like I just want to watch it and enjoy it. And in the case of a video game, I just want to play it and immerse myself in the world and not have to be tied down to things that have come before for the last 20 years. Great article. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video. Of course, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon if you want more content like this, and don't forget you can join our Discord where you can come hang out with us on a daily basis. And if you really want to go above and beyond, check out The Weave in the Void, which is the world map behind me. It's the intellectual property that I'm working on with my brother and my wife. It is a point and click game, a 5th edition tabletop campaign setting, and a book series, kind of like Dragonlance with chapter art and everything else. You can find more information about that over at the Wandering Hermits Patreon account, which is patreon.com/Wandering Hermits. Pick up a subscription for as little as $3 a month. It's a great way to support what I do here on the channel and dive into some additional fun lore and everything else if you like that kind of stuff. See you in the next episode, everybody.